Below the Willow Creek hills, amidst green fields, lay a small village. It was here, listening to the songs of the clear river and the cool wind, that William and Sarah began their new life. William was a tall, strong man, a timber merchant who roamed the forests, finding good wood to trade. Despite his busy schedule, his family was everything to him. Sarah was a woman with a sweet smile and a heart full of love. Every day with William was a festival for her, yet their happiness was incomplete. Years passed, but they were not blessed with a child. Sarah's eyes often welled up with tears. William would comfort her. "We will have children, Sarah. God will only give us what is good," he would say. This long wait brought them closer. After many prayers and treatments, that fortune found them. Sarah became pregnant, and their joy knew no bounds. The doctor told them that Sarah would have 3 children. The news astounded them, triplets in one birth. William was overjoyed. A sea of love surged in Sarah's heart. They had already decided on 3 names: Adam, Ethan, and Noah. The day arrived. Sarah smiled through the pain. William held her hand tightly. They returned home from the hospital with their 3 little ones. Their small house had become a paradise. Adam's tiny giggle, Ethan's innocent gaze, Noah's soft cry, all of it was the sweet music of their lives. William reduced his work hours. He began spending more time at home with the children. He made toys for them and laughed at their babbling. For Sarah, they were her world. Feeding them, putting them to sleep, and bathing them, she lost herself in the routine. In the evenings, William would carry his children on his shoulders and take them to play in the yard. Sarah would watch from the kitchen, smiling. Their dreams and desires were fully realized in that smile. For everyone in the village, the 3 children were a miracle. People called them a blessing from God. At night, William would lay them in their cradles and sing lullabies. Every corner of their small house echoed with their laughter and games. William looked at his children with love and kissed Sarah on her forehead. "How lucky we are, Sarah," he said. Sarah smiled, her eyes filled with happy tears. She held her children close, understanding how vast their world had become. She believed this world of love would last forever. Into the silence of the night, a heavy rain poured down. A cold wind from the hills of the Lake District seeped through the windows. William and Sarah sat huddled under a blanket in their bedroom. In the next room, their 3 children were in the world of dreams. Adam's soft snore, Ethan's quiet breathing, the gentle thud of Noah's tiny feet against the cradle. All these sounds were a lullaby to them. Suddenly, a terrifying cat's cry broke the silence. It echoed through the house like a piercing scream. Sarah jolted awake. She looked at William's face in fear. He was asleep. She felt the cat's cry was coming from the children's room. Her heart sank into a pit of terror. She didn't try to wake William, but got up slowly. Pushing the door open, she walked softly to the children's room. The cold of the rain and the shivers of fear crawled over her body. When she opened the door, she stopped at the sight before her. In the faint light of the room, all 3 cradles were empty. For a moment, she wondered if she was dreaming. She squeezed her eyes shut and opened them again. But the sight remained unchanged. The cradles were empty. "Where are my children? Where did they go in this cold?" A fiery pain ignited within her. She knelt by the cradles. Next to Adam's cradle, his tiny shoe was visible. The sight was more than she could bear. A horrific scream rose from her throat. It was the pain of a mother whose heart had been torn apart. "William, my children are missing," she screamed. Hearing that scream, William woke up with a start. He felt a heavy weight fall on his chest. He rushed to the children's room. Inside, Sarah was wailing, looking at the cradles. William looked at the cradles. Empty cradles. He couldn't believe his eyes. He frantically searched the entire room, under the bed and behind the table. He couldn't find them anywhere. Outside, the sound of the rain grew louder. His fear flowed through him like a cold river. "Sarah, what happened? Where did our children go?" His voice trembled. It was a tragedy no one could believe. In the middle of the night, their 3 children had vanished without a trace. The only question left in their minds was, what now? The horror of the night did not give way to dawn. William and Sarah were exhausted from crying. Their wails woke the village. People came running. No one could believe what they saw. The house that was once filled with joy was now cast in the dark shadow of tragedy. William and Sarah recounted the incident. No one had a clue how the children had disappeared. The nearest police station was informed. Police officers arrived at the scene. This was a case they could solve, so they started their investigation with great seriousness. Police dogs were brought in. The dogs sniffed inside the children's room and then ran out of the house. They followed a scent on the rain-soaked ground all the way to the river. However, since there had been a heavy downpour that night, no evidence was left. Without CCTV cameras or phone calls, the police couldn't do much more. William and Sarah went to the police station every day. They yearned to hear some news. But each time, they returned home disappointed. The investigation stalled. As time went on, the police's hope also faded. Eventually, the case files were closed. When all avenues to find the children were exhausted, William and Sarah were broken. But Sarah's heart refused to accept this. She believed her children were alive. Every day she would look at their photos, talk to them, and pray for their return. William's situation was no different. But he had to carry on with life. He started making long-distance trips for his business again. He tried to bury his sorrow in the business of work. Gradually, Sarah grew distant from William. His indifferent behavior hurt her. She felt he couldn't understand her pain. Or was he trying to hide his own pain? She never got an answer. Still, Sarah never gave up hope. She lived each day believing her children would one day return. But no one else believed such a day would come. Time moved on like a wave, but William and Sarah's lives remained stagnant on the same shore. The joy and laughter in their house faded. The darkness of sorrow covered the home. Sarah's mind grew weaker each day. Her eyes always looked out the window. She yearned to see the face of her children somewhere. William tried to hide his grief in the busyness of his work. He started making long trips every day, often returning late at night. Sarah noticed this. She felt he had no interest in sharing her pain. "Why don't you talk to me, William?" she once asked. "We don't know what happened to our children. Are you avoiding me?" William turned to look at her. "It's nothing, Sarah. I need work to forget my pain." That's all he could say. Their conversations dwindled. A large wall had risen between them. Sarah's mind was filled with many questions. Why was William so distant? Did he no longer love her? Or did he have a hand in this tragedy? Unknowingly, she kept these suspicions to herself. Years passed. 20 years. The villagers had started to forget the tragedy. William was still a timber merchant. Only Sarah's hope had not faded. She would look at her children's pictures every day. It had become a conviction. She firmly believed the children would return. One evening, William returned home from a business trip. An unknown man was standing in the yard, a tall man dressed in black. He asked William, "The disappearance of your children that night was no coincidence, it was a planned act." William was startled. He looked at the stranger with fear. "Who are you? How do you know this? If you want to know, you must trust me, just once." He smiled. William thought about the pain he had endured for the past 20 years. What if he could find a reason for it? A spark of hope ignited within him. He looked at the stranger with suspicion, but the sincerity he saw in his eyes astonished William. The stranger walked into the house. Sarah was inside. He looked at her. "Your children are alive, Sarah," he said. Those words pierced Sarah's heart like a beam of light. "Who are you?" she asked, trembling. "I'm your son. My name is Adam." The night of heavy rain in the dark remains a nightmare in the memory of William and Sarah. Laughter and happiness had vanished from their lives. Sorrow and loneliness had turned their world upside down. Days, months, years, 20 years passed. One evening, the mysterious guest they were waiting for arrived at their home. His words gave a hint of a new turning point. "Your children are alive, Sarah." Those words struck her heart like lightning. She looked at him, trembling. For the first time, she had received an answer to a belief she had held for 20 years. "Who are you?" she asked in fear. "I am your son. My name is Adam." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. She couldn't believe it. William was also astonished. He looked at Adam with a questioning expression. "You're lying. "My son doesn't look like you," William said angrily. "I have something that can prove it. There's a black mole on my neck," Adam said. William remembered. His eldest son Adam had a mole on his neck. His ex-wife had secretly removed it with a medicine when he was very young. It was a secret no one knew. But how did this stranger know? For a moment he began to trust Adam. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She hugged him and cried loudly. William was astonished to see this. Adam embraced them. "I am your son. You both deserve to know what happened to the three of us," he said. Adam began to tell his story. One night a woman had abducted them. She took them in a big car. After dropping them at an orphanage, she changed their names. He revealed that it was William's ex-wife who had committed this cruel act, and it was not a coincidence. He couldn't remember exactly what happened to him and his brothers. But some clues given to him by a man who had come to save them had prompted him to start this investigation. That's how he came to find them. William was shocked to hear that his ex-wife had done this cruel thing. Many questions were on his mind. The pain he had suffered for years, the distance from his wife, he realized that the reason for all this was that woman. He felt a lot of anger towards her. Sarah, crying, said, "My children, where were you? Where are your brothers?" she asked. "I know, Mom. I can help you bring them back," Adam said. A spark of hope was ignited in Sarah's mind. It was a moment she had waited for 20 years. Her children were alive. She had her son back. Now she had to find her other two children as well. What Adam said shook William and Sarah deeply, especially William. Hearing that his ex-wife was behind the tragedy he had been suffering from for years, he could not control his anger. How could she do this? William asked himself. He realized that the reason for all the miseries in his life over the past 20 years was her. As a spark of hope was ignited in Sarah's mind, she got a new energy. "We have to go to the police, William," she said. "Our children are alive." William nodded. He had been able to trust Adam. The three of them went to the nearby police station. The police officer there took out the old case files and examined them. William gave the details about his ex-wife. During the previous investigation, the police had not received any information about William's ex-wife. They had not investigated in that direction because William had left his ex-wife before. After that, they had no contact with each other. The police started the investigation again. The police now had a clue. They received information that William's ex-wife was living in a city. They went there and arrested her. A cool breeze of relief blew in Sarah's mind. It was a moment she had waited for 20 years. But she had a fear. What would happen to her children now? The news of William's ex-wife's arrest surprised both Sarah and William. After years of suffering, the truth was finally revealed to them. She was interrogated at the police station. During the interrogation, she initially denied it. But later she confessed that her husband had mentally tormented her because she was unable to have children, and she had committed this cruel act to take revenge. "He left me just because I didn't have children. I wanted to hurt him. His children were the dearest to him. I was able to steal them. I did it in a planned way," she said. The police asked her where she had taken the children. She said, "I took them to an orphanage. I had given a large sum of money as a bribe to the staff there. They changed the names and other information of the children, so no one would suspect me." William stood still after hearing this information. He could not control his anger. "Why did you do this to me?" William asked. "Why did you use my children to hurt me?" He did not get an answer. Sarah had many questions in her mind. "What happened to my children? Where are they?" she asked the ex-wife. "I didn't take your children. I took my own son. I enrolled him in that orphanage under another name," she said, crying. William and Sarah were astonished. "What are you saying?" William asked. "William, I have a secret, a truth you don't know. I had a son. I did this without you knowing," she said. "I enrolled him in that orphanage under another name. I hid a very big secret without you knowing," she said, crying. "What did you do to my children?" Sarah asked. "I didn't do anything to your children. I took one child with me to mislead the police. I don't know what happened to that child," she said. The police had received a new piece of information. William's ex-wife had nothing to do with this tragedy. She had done this to mislead the police. William's ex-wife's statement completely confused the police. She first confessed to the crime and then changed her statement, which brought the case back to square one. However, some of her words gave the police a new turning point. The third child was someone else, and that child was added to the group to mislead the police. This revelation made the police think deeply. The police changed the direction of their investigation. They went to the orphanage, where the children were handed over, as the ex-wife had mentioned. The police examined the 20-year-old records kept there. When they inquired about the bribe, they found that an old employee of the orphanage was involved. The police received records of him receiving a large amount of money. He was no longer alive, but from his diary notes, the police came to know a big truth. He had written in his diary, "I only received 2 children, William and Sarah's children. But a woman contacted me, she gave me a child. She said the child's name was Simon. The child had a small black mole on his hand." This information shocked the police. He had also written another thing in the diary. It was not a coincidence. It was planned. That woman wanted her own children. She had no children with another man, so she did this. This information in the diary was a major turning point for the police. This made it clear that the third child was not William and Sarah's son. The police continued their investigation with the information about Adam and his brother. The secret of the third child led the police on another path. The new clues received by the police shook them. They came to know that the third child was not William and Sarah's son. The police continued their investigation with the information about Adam and his brother. With the information from the orphanage, where the children were handed over, the police found both the children. They were now 20 years old. Samuel and Solomon were living a new life with new names. They didn't know that their lives belonged to someone else. The police explained everything to them. They had no memories of their parents. Still, in some corner of their minds, there was a vague memory of their parents. William and Sarah broke down on hearing this news. They couldn't believe that their children were alive. It was a moment they had waited for 20 years. The police took them to the orphanage. When they went inside, they saw their children. Samuel and Solomon couldn't recognize their parents immediately, but Sarah ran to them and hugged them. "My children," she said, sobbing. Sarah's touch surprised them. For a moment, a flash of lightning passed through their minds. They got some memories back. They hugged their mother. William stood beside them. He didn't know what to say. He felt guilty. Sarah's mind was a mix of happiness and sorrow. Happiness at getting her children back, sorrow at the memory of her third child. The morning of hope returned to William and Sarah's lives in the form of Samuel and Solomon, but the memory of their third son, Simon, remained a pain for them. The house had a mixed feeling of happiness and sorrow. Even after starting a new life, a question remained for them. What happened to Simon? That question became an unsolved mystery for them. After investigations by the police and others, it was proved that the child named Simon had no relation to William and Sarah's son. Since only Simon's name was recorded in the diary, they could not continue the investigation. Many years later, William and Sarah's sorrow lessened to a certain extent. They talked about Samuel and Solomon's new life. But the memory of Simon was always a concern for them. The name Simon was a silent presence in that house. Sometimes a phone call would come, or a letter. That letter would sometimes have a picture. In it, there would be the face of a small child. When they saw that picture, their memories of Simon would return. The name Simon had become a memory in their hearts. The name Simon gave them a new hope. Simon was living a new life. He didn't know that he had embarked on a journey to find his mother and father. In some corner of his mind, some memories of his parents remained. Each day gave them new hope. They believed that Simon would one day come to find them. Their hopes had no end. Simon may come to find them, or he may not.